Welcome to the first episode of the Speaking Shona Language series. Don't tell the algorithm. I'm going to be going through the Shona, it's a pronunciation guide, and we'll go through the Shona vowels. And then or look forward to what I'm going to be planning after. But if you enjoy, you can always give me feedback after you've heard anything in the comments below. So we'll start by my name, which is going to be Shonaista. I do content on this channel, and I'm hoping that we grow together in this knowledge. So, speaking Shona language series, and as I said before, let's not tell the algorithm. I am Shonaista, and we'll be learning Shona vowels. It's a pronunciation guide with English translations. Our first vowel sounds. So there'll be an introduction to the vowel sounds. If you're familiar with the English language, we've also got the same for the initial ones, which is A, E, I, O, U. That's pronounced in English. And I'm going to give you, listen out now to how they are said in Shona. So we've got two sets, two, maybe three categories of Shona vowels. There's the simple ones, which are the five vowel sounds, and then there'll be the consonants and the others to follow. I'm not a language teacher. I was taught Shona through learning and mimicking through my parents. So I thought it's an opportunity to get more in depth with our language, my mother tongue. As I have access to English, I thought it's time I give myself more access to my native language. I am based abroad now, and I'm based in the Midlands, so we can see how without that distance or without moving around with family and friends, you could lose language or the level of language drops due to lack of practice, or even as a novice speaker, not hearing people around you speak the language, you may lose or not even gain the language skills. So, this is an opportunity to give you that resource to pick up when you choose to. So, we'll start with the five vowel sounds. A sounds like father. So it's going to be like the word father. It's A. E sounds like in bed. A is C. Sounds like C in English. So then we also have the sounds O. Sounds like O in more, and U sounds like oo in food. But I will provide some examples because as I'm speaking English, I don't think you'll be able to hear the differences in the tone. So as we go through, pay attention to how I'm going to change how I pronounce the vowel sounds A, E, I, O, U in English, but you're going to hear me speak in Shona. By the way, Shona has many dialects. So, as I always say to people who are not native, identify what dialect you'll be trying to learn. And then that will explain the variations in the words you speak. So, if you're not familiar with the word I've said, you can ask what it means in the dialect you hear. That's the best way to navigate Shona. Because even my parents didn't grow up from a family with the same dialects, and the way words were said, you'd naturally pick it up because you'd ask, what does that mean? Or you'd hear it from relatives and then you'd register what they meant, even though they were said differently. So there's five dialects, and I'll just quickly go and Google them. There's the Karanga, there's the Zezuru, there's off the top of my head, let me quickly Google them. Um, so the Shona dialects. Yes, Manika, Ndau, and Kore Kore. So those are the tangible dialects that are known. But if you're to travel in Zimbabwe, you can ask them and you'll be able to hear it. Just like when you're abroad, you hear the way an American speaks is not the way a person from England speaks, and even within the UK and Canadians, and also Wales, even within EU countries and African countries, people speak differently. So you also hear the same. There's a same between how people speak. So we'll go on to the first vowel sound, which is A, and in Shona is pronounced like A in father. But as you can hear, you won't be able to hear it when I say it because I'm saying it with an English tone. So you need to understand that it sounds crucial for proper communication in Shona and to enhance your English skills. So for your sake, you need to pay attention to how I say it when I'm speaking Shona, because the way I pronounce A is not going to be the same as the way I pronounce it when I'm speaking a Shona word. So I'll put four examples so you'd have a chance of listening to how A sounds in Shona. So my is the word for mother. So I'll repeat the word again. Amai. I need you, when you're now listening to people speaking around you in Shona, listen to how they say the word. Do not assume you know the word because you've heard it along all the time. Because some people, the more fluent people are, the more faster people sound to somebody who's not a native speaker or who's learning the language, like in any other language learning exercises. So, am I, as you can tell, am I and am I are different. Am I for mother? Another word, I put four so that you can pay attention to how I'm sounding. The next one is Iowa, Iowa, which means no. Iowa, no. I'll go further so that you can hear some ways it's said in sentences. But at the moment, I just want you to listen to how I'm saying it using the different words so that you can catch what A sounds in Shona. The next word is Angu. Angu. Angu translates to mine in English when you're saying my, something of mine. So Angu, my. And demonstrated in the image, a little child playing with their toy. So it shows ownership. So we'll go, the last word is Ani. Ani translates to who in English. When somebody's asking a question. Ani, who. So hopefully you've caught how the word a, actually the letter a sounds in the vowel sounds, but we'll also have some practice sentences to follow along. So this section will go into practicing the vowel a through example sentences to reinforce the pronunciation, as that's why I'm doing this today, because I'm trying to tailor it to people who've never heard the language before, people who may have heard the language but have never caught the words, because some people live amongst people who speak the language, but as I said before, people speak so quickly that if you're not paying attention, you don't hear what the word sounds like, or the vowel sounds. You actually don't pick up the vowel sounds as quickly as you should. So we'll go into a few sentences and I'll put some English translations for ease of understanding so that you can take these away as well and practice and surprise people when they want to know where you got that knowledge from. So I'll say it in Shona, and then as you can tell, I also read it back in English, but I think it's best I reinforce the sounds so that you can hear them. Amai vanoziva kubika sadza zvakanaka. Amai vanoziva kubika sadza zvakanaka. Mother knows how to cook sadza well. But like I said, we're reinforcing the Shona language. So I'm just doing it for our Google. But anyway, we move. Next, uchati dini ani. That's when somebody's asking a question. So to a friend, when somebody has a friend and you take them along, and then you're also asking, who will you say I am? Uchati dini ani. So I hope this has been very helpful for the vowel sound a in amai, not a. Like I said before, that's the English translation. It's actually a for amai. We move to our vowel letter E. E, uh, E in bed. But like I said, you wouldn't hear the way it's pronounced in Shona because I'm pronouncing it in the English way. I think it will be more distinct and more clear when you hear me speaking in the Shona way. So we move to some more practice words and then a few sentences after. So our first example is ehe. Ehe means yes. When you're affirming something, ehe means yes. Our next word will be enda, meaning go. Enda, to go. Our next one will be tete. Tete has, well, in this context, tete, I'm using it as auntie. But I don't want to muddy the waters because just like English, many words have different meanings. But in this context, so that you could hear the vowel sound, tete for E is auntie. Ega, meaning alone. Ega, alone. So solitude or independence. So we'll go through some practice sentences for you to hear how the word E in English is pronounced, which is A in Shona. So the sentences include ehe ndichauya mangwana. Ehe ndichauya mangwana, meaning yes, I will come tomorrow. Our next one is enda unotara na tete wako wega. I tried to include the singular words before and put them in the sentence to you so that they come together and you can practice now that you know the meanings. So enda unotara na tete wako wega. Go and speak to your aunt alone. Then our next vowel sound is I. I as in to see. I. I. E. I pronounce it like how it sounds in English. I in English is E in Shona. I in English is sounds like E in C in an English word that's relatable, but it's pronounced E in Shona. So I hope I haven't confused you there, but as you know, we'll move with some practice words so that you can hear it clearly. Ego means wasp in Shona. Ego meaning a wasp. So next time you're around and it's in the warmer times where some, well, depending on how much green space you have, and you see a wasp, is called ego. Next word is imba. Imba meaning in this context, well, there's two meanings. I decided to give a clue. Well, there's two because from the image, imba or imba. Imba, house. Imba, sing, depending on the context of what's being said. So, as I said earlier, the Shona words that have two or three meanings. So, which is why I kept saying from the beginning, listen to what's being said and the context in why it's being said that way. Because don't get overwhelmed with too many words meaning different things, because there will be, just like in English, the book, the little book in English, this is called the thesaurus. We need to make one of those. That's a point to note for Shona, but it's got the same type of meaning where there's loads of words that mean different things and can be changed depending on the context of what's being said. Next one is Ishe. Ishe could mean chief. That was where there's a village context, or Lord in the biblical sense of things. If you go to church, you may be referred as the Lord. Next word is Ina. Ina means four. Four items, four things is Ina. So we'll go into some practice sentences for the word that I in English, E in Shona. The next words, so I'll just read the example words in Shona first, and then we will follow on with the English interpretation. Diri kuimba nzio. Diri kuimba nzio. I am singing songs. Next is ndakaona igo mumba nezuro. Ndakaona igo mumba nezuro. I saw a wasp in the house yesterday. Can you tell the difference? The next and the last practice sentence for the I, which is E vowel sound, is diregerere yuwo. That's me misreading. We'll start again. Ditengere yuwo juitsi kumagrosa. Ditengere yuwo juitsi kumagrosa. I'm busy just autopiloting some words, but anyway. Ditengere yuwo juitsi kumagrosa. Buy me sweets from the shop. And we move. That's why I love the live sessions, which is the reality of some things. Reading, speaking, and hearing are skills to be nurtured. It comes with practice and it comes with time, which is why I am doing the same. I'm also reading, learning, and speaking. You can choose if you want to do all three, or if at this stage you just want to hear and practice the singular words and join them up in the example sentences and surprise people with how much you've learned from the vowel sounds you've learned so far. Next, we move to our vowel sound O. O sounds like O in more, more, or oh, as you can tell, I'm laughing because, as you can tell, I say things in the English translation, but when I speak in Shona, you can hear it come out. So, which is why I'm like, listen to how I say it in Shona, because the first slide will be quite deceiving because they sound the same to me, and I'm sure they sound the same to you. First example word is ona. Ona means look. Some So it's encouraging observation when you're looking at something, kuona, kuona, right? Maybe W is silent, but O for ona, ona. Next word is ombera, which is to clap in Shona, but the way it's done is different from a normal applause clap. It's in a different way, which when you move around native Shona speakers, is something you'll observe to tell the difference between the way somebody claps at a concert and somebody claps within a Shona household or Wombera, as the term says, Sora. Obviously, the current version of this word is linked to an AI type of software, but in Shona terms, Sora means weeds found in gardens. So that is something you will be able to use if you have a garden in the place where you live. You'll be able to see weeds and you can say, Daona Sora. And our last practice word, or example vowel word to hear the sound is ose, meaning all. Ose. So we'll go through some practice sentences for the word vowel sound O, which is O. So, example sentences. We'll go through. I have to make a conscious decisions as I'm switching through the two languages. That's why I'm like, oh my god, right? So, ona mukadzi muka ziri kumunda. Ona muka ziri mumunda. Watch the animals in the field. Ona muka ziri mumunda. Watch the animals in the field. Ombera maoko kana uchi kwazisa vanhu vakuru. Ombera maoko kana uchikwazisa vanhu vakuru. You hear that said by adults all the time, especially when people come to visit and you're not familiar with the culture. You see the way it's done. It's wombera maoko ako kana uchikwazisa vanhu vakuru. There you go. The accents come out. So wombera maoko ako kana uchikwazisa vanhu vakuru. As I said, I'm practicing. I learned by hearing, so my reading is picking up pace. But the more you read, the more familiar the words become to you, and the more you practice them outside. So Tarisa Wutsi Rukuva Mumba Mambuya. Tarisa Wutsi Rukuva Mumba Mambuya. Look, look, look at the smoke from my grandmother's house. Look at the smoke from grandma's house. Vowel sound U. Sounds like oo in food. This sounds is essential in Shona, and mastering it will greatly enhance your pronunciation and communication. Hopeful. Hopeful means maize meal, which is the staple food in Zimbabwe called sadza. So that's the point to note. So when they say tirikunotenga hopeful, they mean maize meal, which once cooked and prepared becomes sadza. Wutsi means smoke in Shona. Wutsi means smoke in Shona. Wuswa is grass, which is essential for the grazing of all livestock that eat grass. So, wuswa. So, I hope you've heard how you sounds and you hear more of it as we go into the practice sentences. The first one, uvu or maize meal is significant in Shona cooking. The staple ingredient is integral to many traditional dishes. So we'll move and give you a few examples in how to use U, the letter U or vowel sound U in sentences. And U is pronounced as U. Ufu wakakosha kubika sadza. Ufu wakakosha kubika sadza. Maize meal is important for cooking sadza. Next one is wudza mkomana kuti acheke uswa. Wudza mkomana kuti acheke uswa. Tell the boy to cut the grass. So for the men out there, tell the boys to get familiar with cutting grass. The last sentence to practice is Jwaka woma kuona usiku. That's a common word. If you get familiar with saying it, oh my god, everything. Some people say too much. Jwaka woma kuona usiku. It is difficult to see at night. So I hope you learned a lot from this presentation. And like I said, with language, we learn every day and we practice every day. Nobody is fluent because language is dynamic. We are fluent in the words we're familiar with. However, we also need to always be lifelong learners. So if you found this very helpful, comment below for any words of encouragement or any ideas for me and with me because I am learning too.